Good afternoon and welcome to, I think it's all but one of the ins and outs. We actually did a Castleford Tigers one originally. We're on his show and we had to pull it because Joe and Jimmy put the boot into Cass. I indeed thought they were fantastic and they'd made the best signings ever. But the boys put the boot in, so we had to pull it, and a lot of people were disappointed, and a bit like I am. Guys, quick one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Big-ish.
Big issue.
Not
no,
today,
thank
thanks.
you. Yeah.
There you go. Got that one out of the way. And, guys, Cass, on the ball, Joe. Jimmy, let's go. Ins.
I'll read them out.
Or should we do outs first and then say who's replacing him?
Outs. Chase Blair. Released.
Yeah, just on that, that's, and I don't like to think, I think that Chase had a 3-year deal at Cass, and I think he were on quite good money, so I think for the cap, probably, we haven't been disrespectful, I think there'd been somersaults off top of car park with that one.
Bit of space opened up. James Clare, also released. He'd have been on a reasonable sum.
No, not really. I think said Jimmy will be money ball. I think he's probably done fantastic for the club. I think he's probably been a great type of lad round the club, and I don't think it'd cost him that much. So,
all right. I know that Donny were having a look at him. I don't think he's got a club yet.
Back in.
Well, I've certainly not heard his, whether he's one.
He was doing the media and that at Cass, wasn't he? I think he did a little bit of interaction with.
Yeah, he were running the social media accounts.
Yeah, because he just always have his tries on it.
Yeah, I wonder whether there'll be someone that might get picked up.
Yeah,
couple of
players,
injuries.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Sasaya Feki, what a sad story, really. Sasaya Feki. I mean, he signed at Cass. I feel he's had 2 years, so it would have been 3 close seasons ago, and he came over with a reputation and in training. I know Macca and a couple of others were like, this lad is going to score bucket loads. Strong, fast, powerful, fit, everything. And then injury after injury after injury. Even Sheffield took him on and had a little look at him a while ago, but I think he's gone back. He's gone back.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I don't know, and I hope I don't say this wrong, so apologies before I say it, which means it is going to be wrong, is they've been Darrell's era.
Yes, it was.
John Wells' side. I think John might have been the director of football at Cass when definitely when Becky signed.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and definitely when Chase signed, because I think they both come from Did they both come from Melbourne?
I don't know.
Or Chase did. I think that they've done a lot of homework over there. It proves, doesn't it? No matter what homework you do, if you come, sometimes it don't make it right. It's very hard for us to get over there if a director of football. You have to rely on other people a lot, if you're signing somebody from Australia who was at that age. I think it's a lesson sometimes. We aren't being disrespectful, it's a lesson sometimes. If you don't get the David Fafita and that works out, we've got to develop your own young talent and give them more chances.
Yeah. I don't think he had a bad injury record. I think he's just hit the worst luck ever. So he was a big buy. He was big money.
Well, they probably had, I'd say they probably had a lot of money that in them two. That'd be, I bet you'd be talking 260, 280 for two of them.
And I think I'm right. I think it were one game, like a pre-season game, got injured again. It wasn't even like he had a run of 5 games. He had nothing.
No.
So
I know John did a lot of work. I know, to be fair to John, I know. I can remember it. I think I can remember it. John might pull me up and say I wasn't even there, but I'm sure he was so chuffed because he'd done so much homework over there, relying on people's opinions of where he had it, and I think he put it all into stats to SNCs. We'd have thought they'd have both been a great success.
Yeah, just
usually when you get a Melbourne player,
well, and like I say, that all the word in the pre-season, the year he signed was we thought we had Super League top try scorer on our hands.
David Lloyd thought that when the IGO was the tennis coach. They all thought this kid's
10 years later,
you're still there.
They can't get rid of me. Next up is Ryan Hampshire, who I think you've just done Behind the Deal on. So
is that a new programme, Behind the Deal, or Inside the Deal?
Inside the Deal. Oh,
yeah,
you never get it wrong, do you?
It's not about me, Jim. I would say it's fantastic. Great that he's leaving, because Cass would have given the opportunity to stay. I think I didn't say that on the programme. Cass would have given him the opportunity to stay, but I think they wanted to see where his fitness were and where he were and his things, and then obviously the Wigan ones come along, so it's every right to do what he's going to do, but Cass loved it.
Yeah.
Certainly I rang Lee privately to let him know privately that the deal were nearly done, and just out of respect for him as a person, that could have got quite a good relationship like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all the best to Rocky. Gaz O'Brien to Lee Leopards. We saw Gaz play against Leeds a couple of weeks ago. I think he'll very versatile, isn't he? I'm sure he'll use him.
Do you know what? We judge signings, and it's very hard for fans to judge signings. Sometimes they don't know what wages they're on, and you don't know what. But how we do it internally would be performance against salary, against injuries, put it all into this lovely ball, and you come out with what you should. I know Powley loved Gaz. Massive. Thought he could play two positions. That were his utility.
Yeah.
But I think with Gaz and all, utility, I think you'd pay a fair bit to get. You get me? I think with Gaz it'd be 100 plus.
Yeah.
And I still think in that area. By the way, I watched Gaz first play at 17 for Warrington at half-back. He came to Leeds, who were fabulous. What a too brave for his own good, if I'll be honest. Too brave for his own good. Lacked a yard of toe for the 7, just 1 yard, he'd have been right up there. But I'd say Gaz because of the Toronto, because of what it cost you a fair bit with Gaz.
Yeah.
And if you're going to bring utility in, you just mentioned about Rocky with Wigan, who could play 3 positions. Rocky would be on a certain amount, whereas Gaz had come with some major clout.
You need 20 games out of him, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah, for that.
You're right, good point.
Yeah. So but let's see how he goes at Lee. I think he'll be versatile there as well. I imagine he's up against Zach for full back. Yeah. But his big challenge is, can he get Zach into the centres and make that full-back role his own? I think that's probably where he's looking at, and cover at half.
Great lad, though. Like no one, you never heard a negative word about Ryan.
You never see anything less than a 7, 8 out of 10 either, do you?
Loving, what a time.
And then Daryl Alford obviously was quite a big news story. Split opinion, I think, with some Leeds fans, and I think it's a really simple one. He's proven yardage. That's what Rowan wanted, and that's what you get from him.
No, I think if you're talking about, forget about the Leeds buying him, because you're on about Cass. Why would Cass not assure that signing? Why would Cass not nail that down? Do you think Cass have had question marks over him?
I don't think Cass have had any question marks. I think that was simply that Leeds really wanted him. They got him there early.
But Leeds wouldn't pay overs.
I bet Leeds would pay more than what Cass were willing to pay. I can't see how it happens otherwise.
I think a lot of clubs, Cass. But I'd be shocked if that's the case. If they've lost Alberts for like 5 or 10 grand, Leeds historically don't go unless it's a big name. They'll go over. They don't usually go over sport. They usually say opportunity. Come to the great Leeds Rhinos.
I know.
Facilities
I know what you're
are here.
saying. Yeah.
I'd love to know. Be interested in that one.
Yeah,
because I'd have thought Cass had heaven and earth out. It's a strong word, but I'd have thought that because, like you said, his yardage is up there with anybody.
Yeah.
It was linked with Warrington,
Right.
And I thought the deal was done. I really thought he'd already signed for Warrington, and that was the word on the street. Suddenly Leeds come out at left field. It went crazy. So
it did see it really felt like Leeds, although might not have gone overs, made him a real priority. Knowing that Briscoe was going, Footy 2 is struggling with injuries, but Daryl Alford.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because who's that replacement then? Because looking at the squad numbers here, I know we'll get into that after, but squad numbers here, they've not replaced him with a yardage man.
Well, I think I view it as this. It doesn't seem long ago that it almost felt like Greg Eden's days at Cass were numbered. It seemed that he was a bit out of favour. Certainly when Fecky came in, it meant that Eden was probably the man who was going to suffer. He managed to, on the back of Fecky not playing, almost reignite his career and prove he'd still got it at that top level. So you just kind of view it as Eden's done enough to re-establish himself as a starting winger, and young Gary is clearly highly thought of, and I think did he get the 5 shirt out of a 2 shirt, Gary? No. Oh well, who got the other winger shirt?
5 shirt, Beretta Frimo with Greg Eden.
Ah right, yeah, he got Frimo in, didn't he? So that's for replacement.
He's not a new signing.
But what did he come in the year before?
Yeah, he come last year.
Yeah, so
it's a weird one because again that'll be Radaz's choice. That must be a funny one to let Alberts go, which I do believe won't be 10 grand in it. I really feel that it won't be. You've just said there, and then they've got. I know they think a lot of Gary. I think they thought they'd lost Gary.
Yeah.
Again, I think that another club wanted that. They thought that were nearly done.
Yeah.
So maybe they were panicking at the time. I don't know. It's definitely a funny one with Alberts. I'd love to get. If we got Radaz on, it'd be a great question. Would would you let him go to, or was it out of your hands? If Cass didn't do their business ill enough? I suppose if you're an agent, right, you're a player, and Leeds come to your door, and you're on let's be honest, 50 at Cass, because you've been took from Championship, you've been took whatever, and you've made your way up, you're at Cass, you're loving it, regular playing. Leeds coming off you 55, because Cass haven't give you a new deal on 70, 80 grand, which you think you're worth.
Yeah.
But then Leeds come along and say, we'll give you 55 on a 2-year, but you're playing for Leeds Riders up to 20,000, we'll be in grand final next year. You're probably, let's be honest, we're not going to talk honest, you're probably going, I fancy a bit of that.
Yeah. And no disrespect to Cass, but, in my opinion, from 2017, Cass are sliding. We have been, hopefully, we've got to steady the ship this year and surprise a few. But it's probably the first time in a long time Cass haven't been, odds on to get him the top 6. And I think he's chosen.
I think that. And it's weird, when Cass was at 15, as an agent, when we were putting all the players in, if you were going round everywhere asking, I swear, it was the first time people didn't want to go Leeds. They wasn't jumping out here to go to Leeds. They were jumping to go Cass.
Yeah.
Because they'd seen all the improvement in Gailey, Macca, and suddenly all these players were like, where's he come from? Oh my God, he's in England side. Oggy Holmes were pushing everybody who would, it was like crazy. That's what players sometimes inspire. People got to understand, even if you're as big as Leeds Rhinos, at that time they were having to pay so much overs for players like Robert Louis. That they did it to about 8 signings. I don't want to go into it. Brett Ferry's come, they were paying big money. And it was the first time I'd seen Leeds panic.
Yeah, scrambling.
They got so many
around.
Signings wrong because they were just throwing coin. They want the answer. I think that's Bradders' big challenge, is to say to, the next crop of these lads, stay here, we will bring in.
Yeah.
Instead of always having to look. It must be hard if you go to Sweet Shop and you go, your kid fancies that. You're going, well, no.
Penny mix.
Yeah, look, get your hand in that penny mix.
And I'm sure Alfred's, I don't know, I don't recall reading the interview, but he's not young. He's coming to that.
30, 31
yeah,
now,
he's
isn't
over
it?
30. So it might be for him simple. I thought, I want to win something, and my best chance of winning something, I love what Leeds are doing. Leeds are kind of in that phase now where they're...
Cass should have had that business done, shouldn't they? Did you get it?
Yeah.
I know they wanted to, you'll talk about it in a minute, when we get the ins, but maybe, you don't look a direct replacement apart from that Frimo.
Yeah, Frimo almost preempted it. Maybe he knew he had heads up a bit earlier. Maybe it was a year before he'd actually said, I'm not going to re-sign, and it had all been... There were rumours about Alfred's to Leeds at very early in the year, weren't there? So, but yeah, let's see. Jake Truman, obviously, there is clear direct replacement for him, but, big loss again. Part of the same sort of feeling, is there a few feeling that it's time to move on from Cass, in that transition period that Leeds went through a couple of years ago, and an opportunity arose for Truman, didn't it? So.
I always thought with Truey, we did it on show, didn't we, before that, I thought Cass always, in a way, understood that, how I saw it was that if Jake improved it on the open market, an half-back with his ability in the games he's played would achieve massive money. And I'm not saying massive as in massive money, but it'd be very much a guy who would want to go market at that stage in his career if he wanted to, And I don't think it were all about, can I win things at all? Because people could challenge that and say, well, Cass historically have done better than them in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So people would think the argument's ridiculous.
And if you follow the bookies, Cass are ahead at Hull.
Yeah, so you couldn't say that, but certainly the size of the club and Cass's salary cap, as in where they would go for a player, would always be quite difficult. Again, I think that'd be an investment. And it's always harder when the young player comes through your system. The chance of you getting that young player overs is impossible. Now, Hull needed an halfback.
Yeah.
They have not historically signed a young halfback of that quality in 20 years. We're on about signing Sean Long and Leon Price when they were 34, 35. Gailey signed at 33, 34. Reynolds 33, 34. So historically, Jake were a fullback. They've not gone for a young halfback. So I'd actually said to James at Hull at the time, when we got into the talks, it was... When was the last time you signed a player on the up?
Because when did we sign Sneedy? What was his backstory?
It'd be 26, 27 when Sneedy from Cass. It's what with Gailey.
Yeah.
So he wanted to swap. They needed the cap space, and Sneedy went to 27, 28. So historically, You know, it was Hull was saying, we want to change our franchise. We want to change the way we do things. We want a younger player in. Yeah. Cass were probably still, poor old Cass, in a way I'm saying poor old Cass, were probably there like thinking, to make Chewy stay, it might have been at this level.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen, unfortunately. By the way, I've said this with everything. Don't clickbait that bit, please don't. It's sometimes a brilliant journey, innit? He's been at Cass, they give him the opportunity at 5 years, but by God, did he play on unders for 3 of them? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, he's gone for money, well, no, because 3 or 4 years before, you were having a half-back playing for less than 30, you know, it was crazy for the amount of games he's played, what he give them for that value.
And I think Hull's going off from that. Hull are bringing in younger players, apart from maybe Sutty. I think Texoy, 23, 24. The other half-back, Jake Clifford, he's 24. Chewy, 24. So I think that's
change of ethos,
that's what Hull's vibe. They put their money in the young thing, and they want to set up a 10-year program, don't they? Where these lads are here for 8-9 years and grow with them. Where I think Cass do it a little bit differently, don't they? They look for they're there and now more. If you look at Chewy's replacement,
there's a challenge, like, you know, and do you know what? I never get a chance to really set to rant. I spoke to him last week. He's coming to show me towers this week, but I'd love to challenge him and say, where as a club is that? Are you going left? So we now know Cass got first time for a bit. I've got some great young players. We've just signed one on, haven't we? I think we're doing the page now.
So you've got obviously George Hill, Kieran, Hugo, Gary, Kane Rob. You've got 4 or 5 where if they did invest it, if they decide to go that way and give them a little bunch of games, you've probably got another amazing future coming at Cass.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, won't it? It's a real. You're going to say the ins here.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the ins are quite old.
Well, funnily enough, just to follow on from that, the first one on the list is Jack Broadbent, so he fits into that as well.
Yeah,
signing him there. So, and just to reiterate your point there, what we discussed last week about can we get to a stage in the game where the clubs start putting more money into the younger players and offering them better deals? If that had happened with Truey and he wasn't on unders for a long time, there wouldn't necessarily be that need to go and make up for the money he's not earned.
I think he naturally was on unders because he went from junior to thingy. The Cass did look after him on that third deal. They were brilliant with it. They were superb. Truey got 100% value when it come to it. But then you've got to go again.
Yeah.
You've got to go. So if that player, and people say, yeah, but somebody actually challenged it. Somebody said, oh, but Truey didn't do that much for Cass. And I were like, wow, so you're based on him having a bad injury towards the end. Obviously, that didn't help. But that season, I thought you were playing unbelievable. And I thought when he broke into the side, you get me. It's a funny one with Cass, because usually you get a shape of the club. Cass, I don't know. I actually don't. You just said there, that's a great signing, Broadbent. Whether you think Jack is that player to play 25 games at that level, that's a different argument. Jack had come in on, there. Leeds. Let's reverse the Elverts then. You've got Jack would have been on. Jack would have been on 35 at Leeds, and Jack probably can go get 60 or 70 at Cass. So Cass are having to pay more than what Leeds have offered Jack to stay.
Yeah.
They're also offering a shirt number, pretty short compared to Leeds 2022. But then, if you look at it then, Elverts leaves Cass, and you're thinking, Cass's style is usually to keep Elverts and not go for Jack. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That probably is a move where you're thinking, it's like they've got both 1 foot in and 1 foot out, innit?
Yeah, with Jack, it's also interesting, because what position is Jack Broadbent?
Centre, all day long.
Centre, he obviously plays a lot of full-back. I think at Fev last year he played some games at full-back. He can also be a bit of a winger. I think that's probably the big question. Can they find Jack a position where he can be a starter week in, week out consistently?
Can't play 6 consecutively for me at that standard. Full-back can do it, but wouldn't it be better than what they've got there in Evalds?
No.
So that'd be a massive call. Gary can play a bit of full-back, he can thingy. So you'd look at that and you'd say, but centre Jack's reading the games, except he's got a very high rugby league IQ. Jack Broadbent's at 10. I've watched him since he's been a kid, and he's got that Richie Miley. You said it earlier on. He's got it. He's got that. I think Elliot Whitehead, Lewis Robert Chesty. When I said to you, what did he do? What were different? The winger got caught coming. He went under the centre, and he knew when to do it. And I said, look at that. I was watching Lou thinking I didn't know he'd have He knew what to do within the second.
Yeah, that instinct. I mean, I think that Broadbent one was perfect. Leeds clearly had other priorities in that position. They've got a couple of crackers coming through. Nene McDonald was one of the worst kept secrets in rugby. So for Jack, I'm sure it was, like you say, it's a flip of Alfords. Jack was probably thinking, I've got an opportunity there to nail down a centre spot in Super League, whereas at Leeds, there's 4-5 in my way.
Did they pass each other in car?
They probably swap cars, don't they?
Jack's the agent and they're both the agents, so you're down 62 and hey, I'm signing, why is that you're gonna play out inside Alfords? Oh no.
Yeah, definitely a bit of that. So and I'll skip a few out and jump straight to someone else in that ilk, which could be an unbelievable bit of business. We love him to bits. Leeds very sad to see him go. Muzzy Mustafa.
Signing at Century.
So
it. End of.
Oh, I like it.
What do you say about Muzzy for what he costs?
For what
he costs at a club like that, what he brings to the table, he don't have to play. He'll wrestle you in every training session. He brings intensity.
Whack you in training.
You will never see, guys. Here's a lesson for a lot of young players. When they ask if someone's loved, watch Muzzy's try at Leeds.
I was just about to say the same, yeah.
If you don't want to know whether you are like... I've seen people, and I didn't mention it, young players score, you can see all the lads going, he scored 20... They were coming off the bench.
Yeah, they were one of best reactions.
Rowan's smile was just like... And Rowan knows he's going. Yeah, that lovely smile come, and it were like, you know what? These are the people you don't want to lose in your club. No. But they've done it to let him have an opportunity, which is fantastic on Leeds. Cass have got this one absolutely bang. Absolutely. Whether he plays 10, 15, 20, 25, it don't matter. It don't matter. That is a signing.
Yeah. Totally agree, yeah. We love him, don't we? We love him.
Yeah, he's a machine. We played basketball against him, toughest basketball player you'll ever play, because he's that.
I'm glad you're on my team.
His bones are like bricks. That's the best thing I can describe. It's like a brick hitting you, and that's just him giving you a bit of an elbow. But, I think Muzz, I want to see Muzz. To be honest, I'll challenge Muzz to try and get some consistent game time, like you said. Whether he plays, I want to see Muzz get nearly week in, week out.
If we do, we should have asked for more money.
Well, I'm not saying it's bad or not. I'm just saying I want to see Muzz do it. I think he's capable of doing it. I want to see him take the next step up, and if he can, brilliant. But you know what I mean? I love Muzzy. Whenever I see him, I have a big smile. He's lovely. I want him.
He's the man.
He's the man. I want him to get consistent, but that will probably. You know what I mean? I think he's been criticised for certain little things, doesn't he? His handling. If he can get that right, I think Muzz could be a week in, week out starter.
He were outstanding for Leeds in areas. I will pay. I never signed him. I'll never know.
No, bizarre.
He went in their playoffs and played 4 at best games. He was 20-year-old, 19 and a half, taking on Catalan's pack, and they didn't see it. They just were like, oh well, it's not as good as George King. Well, that's why George is paid that, and in 26. The comparisons I heard. Yeah. For Muzzy was the most ridiculous bit of... I still can't get my head around it. They didn't have anybody else at 19 and a half in there packing all the academies and all who could do what he was doing. And he proved it at the top shelf playing against England. Of course he had a knock on him. Of course he got a penalty in him. But he was 20-year-old, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous, didn't it?
Now let's hope that is a real match made in heaven.
This is no disrespect, I don't know the lad's name, Greg. Is it Greg? He's just left.
Greg Richards.
I think Greg at the time of them telling Muzzy no, they give Greg that 2 or 3 years, which for me, I looked and thought that's a funny choice. You've got a young 19-year-old kid who could be the best, who's got all the world in front of him. Of course, he needs coaching. That's what you get paid your money for. But I thought bringing Greg back and from London at the time.
Well, I'm going to go Moneyball. Would they be similar?
Greg played about 12 games.
Would they be similar? Price?
No, there'd be double on Greg.
Well,
but even saying you take the potential, wouldn't you? We know there's not a better person behind the scenes. We've got the number one. Yeah. So for me, looking at that, and that's not against Greg, by the way. It's not against Greg. Did well to it. What I'm saying, if you look back now in the 2 or 3 years, what they did, they signed a couple, and you were like, I know he didn't last long. Did he? Tom at Dewsbury. Tom.
The Garrett, the big lad.
Tom Garrett played about 4 times. Again, Muzzy around that era got told to thing in. I still shake my head now, to be honest with you. It baffles me.
Well, the other young lad...
there's 2, isn't there? There's 2 young lads.
Bailey Dawson. coming from Hull KR.
Yeah, and
Jacob Hookham. Now, Jacob Hookham, big rep coming through the academy. Lots of eyes on him. I saw him play for Bradford a couple of games last year. You can see a little bit. I know that Connor Fitzsimmons went to watch Whitehaven play Castleford yesterday. Cass had a strong team out and put Whitehaven to the pump, but he said he was a standout man there. So again, another one they've bought, with a bit of potential. Who's, I'm not sure, how many games he'll necessarily get, but clearly someone who they think is another young prospect with it again. This balance.
Danny Wilson signing, I don't mind saying. I think that's got Danny Wilson.
Yeah, I think they're both Danny signed.
Yeah, both Danny, and they've signed Ilaka Maffey, I believe.
Yeah, so that's what I've just been trying to Google. I don't know much about Maffey. Is he young as well?
Yeah. So these are three young lads that I think have got Danny Wilson. I apologise if it's not. I don't know, but from what my knowledge is, I presume it's a Danny Wilson side. Danny and his team have come from City of Hull FC, and then they've moved over and they bought a few Hull lads with him. I know they're in touch with some other Hull lads as well, so I think Danny's seen a lot of potential in some of these Hull lads and gone, well, they might not make it here, but we can give him a shot.
Yeah.
So he's picked a few out. I know he had a couple others on his radar as well. So hopefully they find a place. I think, like I said, Hookham. I watched quite a lot of him last year because I had his part. We look after his partner Callum Rutland from the Hull reserves last year, and he is a leader. He's a leader on the pitch. He dominates. He's on control. So I can imagine on a good team, Hookham can do very well.
Good,
he'll march them about. He's very loud. He's what you wanted. He's got the mouth where I think Carl needed the mouth. I think we've discussed. And I think
don't come natural to all young class, does
and
it?
he naturally has that. He can boss everyone about and be that guy. I think it's more if the team's struggling, if he's there, can he defensively do it, and can he do it in some other areas when it's not going as nice? Hopefully Cass and Danny can develop that into him, and hopefully he can become anything. With Bailey Dawson, I think pretty similar, innit? Just Hull KR lad. Danny Wilson's obviously saw something in, brought him over.
What position is he?
Bailey, I believe, is a centre, I believe. Sorry if I'm wrong there, but I think he's a centre. Right. So again, a centre, and then I think Maffey is a winger.
Right. Okay.
I apologise if I'm wrong. I'm not, but from what I remember, I think they're the sort of positions they play in. Just young lads. I think that's just completely a punt in these lads. They obviously see something, but very unproven, very. You know what I mean? Risky.
Yeah.
Well, not risky.
They've got the reserves.
They've
got the reserves to
just
keep
willing
an eye
to give him a go, and hopefully
there.
they turn into something.
Yeah. Well, now we jump up and we move to the more senior signing. So from one extreme to the other, starting with Albert Vetti, Hull KR.
We got I'll just dive in. This is the one actually that we got wrong when we did the first show. I think I wrongly said Vetti is 32, 33, and Vetti is 29.
Yeah.
So he's a bit younger than what we thought. He's not in his.
He for his signing. So look at his total period at KR, it wasn't a great success. But when he played, Albert was very good.
Yeah.
And what weirdly, the lads didn't mind him. I'm not saying weirdly, by the way. The lads didn't mind him. Usually when you're not playing regular, lads think, he's on 100 or 1,000, he's not, whatever he were on. So I think there was a bit of that. He didn't get that, Albert. They actually had a lot of fondness for him. I thought in the playoffs last year, and when they got there, he was quite exceptional at times. Big gamble for me, Albert's minutes. If you're blowing up at Super League.
They didn't make the playoffs.
The year before, when they made the playoffs, Albert, he come good in certain games. The fans at KR loved him when he used to come on.
Oh, he did. Open. By the end of last year, he had a couple of games.
If you're playing 12, 15 minutes and your coaches are getting nervous, that's not the modern game, unfortunately. Now, if Albert can play and get the trust not to give a penalty away, not to miss tackles, and play the long minutes like a Fafita did, then you've got a player. Because he's exceptional at pumping off and getting hands out. He's exceptional. He'll put a shot on you. He'll snap you in two. But the problem with I think he arrived at 1 to 8 when he came over. I think they got the shot from the airport. Albert never did his sense justifiable to what they said he was. He's probably nowhere near what they thought they got. I think they thought they got an absolute gem. Radders might be the right man at the right time. Radders is very good with that type of player because he's your friend. He's your boss, but he'll have arm round him. Albert, come on, son, we need 20. The team needs you, Albert. Come on, Albert. He'll get a bit of that, which is old school coaching in a way. I'm not saying
the man management side.
I think Radders would be right up there. We need you. These
it?
lads need you, Albert. Youngs are all looking at you. Yeah. Little Macca, hit him up. Come on, Albert, get us forward. I think he'll get a bit of. Cass would be very good with Albert. Could be a great signing.
Yeah. Moving on to, well, I suppose 2 replacements for Truey in a sense, getting Miller in and Gaz Widdop. I mean, Jacob Miller for me, I've always liked him. I know we've had discussions over the years, haven't we? There's attacking wise, great. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Competes, he's a competitor.
He is. He's that. It brings something. I think everyone knows what they're getting with Miller. He's been consistent. He's played plenty of games. I think that one's easy. The big one is Gaz Widdop, isn't it? If
they paid Jacob, I mean, we're Wakey. If I'd have had 6 years at Wakey or 5 years, at Wakey, he finished his career at Wakey. If Wakey didn't offer him enough, the word is that they didn't get the offer he wanted. Cass have actually outbid somebody, which is, again, we're having a laugh there, but Cass have actually offered him the bigger money, which they would do, I suppose, for that type of player who's had that experience. Yeah. Whereas Wakey might go, there's your deal, Jacob. They thought we'll give him a Wakey, so it's bizarre, he's ended up at Cass, I tell you now. I think it's a great signing. He competes. The lads, again, you get a good feel of the lads. They loved him. The coaches, Chris Chester loved him. So did the boys who went in last year, Willie and Frat. So he had a lot. I think he's the head of the players group. So he'd be that voice in changing rooms. David Fafita used to always say, I'll see what he says. Yeah. So he's got definitely a bit of personality.
And he's a rock solid side. Yeah. There's no question marks for,
Yeah. I suppose my challenge would be, again, it'll be, if you look at mixing Jacob at 31, am I right?
I'm not sure, but he must be around that, yeah.
And then you're looking at Gaz, who obviously, Gaz's challenge is easy. We could get, Billy could come in and get this one. He could say, you've had a lad who's had probably $250,000, 280,000 a year at Warrington. He's played at Melbourne Storm. He's played in World Cups.
Yeah, Miller's 30.
Yeah, he's now at Cass. When that cold shower goes on, whatever, a bit of crack, when it goes against him at Cass and the fans are like, oof, they know what money he's, this is a different ball game for Gaz. And he might say, I can handle it easy, I'm from Halifax, I originate from this type of rugby, but I don't know. If you drive that car and you have to end up going back to Fiesta days, which, I've done in COVID, it's funny as all, you do get used to it, but what happens when it don't go right? This is my problem for Gaz. Can Gaz play? Yes. Gaz is a great support player, can play both sides, I'd say. Lovely pass. He has a glide about him.
Yeah,
he hasn't got electric pace. He's certainly not a game player, as in he can't. I don't think Gaz will take around pitch. I think Jacob might have a bit more of that on him.
Yeah.
I think Jacob might be given a little bit, maybe a split between them. But it's the biggest gamble for me, Cass. Having Macca at his age and having Gaz and Jacob at their ages in that 3, and potentially most of the props are of 32, 33. Rather, we've said it before, haven't we, all of us? This is massive for Cass, because if the injuries come to the older legs, they're in big trouble in Little China quick.
Yeah.
The lad who we love at this club, Callum McClelland would be in my top 5 players and friends and my young players I've got on my heart. Carl's got to be, I suppose Callum becomes...
Well, no.
They're very close to signing.
Don't forget Danny Rich.
But Danny Rich is on a September, they're saying.
Is it September?
I hope I'm saying that right. Danny Rich might be 6 months
out. It's a long time.
Still.
Yeah, so poor old Danny, he's got that coming. So that third half pack becomes, if they do get that, you mentioned before about LKR carrying 3 and Leeds carrying 3, and this becomes... This is a gamble.
And I can only assume, he's come up under a lot of stick, hasn't he, Gaz, with it. It doesn't help when you're on big money. When you're not performing on normal money, it's tough. So, Radders has had a cup of coffee, I can only assume, and believes that Widdop has got a point to prove and is ready to prove it. I don't see how he goes there to put his feet up. He can't afford to. He needs a big year to revive his reputation. And if Cass get that out of him, there's no way he can be on anything like the money we're led to believe are on at Warrington. So could it come off?
Listen,
It's either going to be a wonderful story or it's going to be horribly wrong. I don't see an happy medium.
At Melbourne unless you can play. This kid can play. This kid's got character. This kid's got a lot of things. Didn't work for him at Warrington. I've heard he's away from his family. Listen, he's taking on one of the hardest gigs of his life. If he pulls it off for Cass, and you know one thing about it, we all look that way, then let's look left.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if these three
Well, that's it.
You suddenly go, Macca, the king, bang, Cass, the king, Jacobs competing at every level, suddenly Evans is coming. Cass, what you could do with Cass is, you could go, well, let's sit here, like we did a bit last time, if we're all being honest. I certainly did it a bit like. And then afterwards, I thought, you know what, you're wrong here. Because if this comes off, these runners are genius. And they're put together, 31-year-olds that work, and that takes absolute balls of steel because, for me, Radis is taking one of the biggest, not gambles, because people say, it's not a gamble, we own a place. I think it is. I think in the modern game it really is. Cass, and this is the nightmare for Cass. They're used to top 5 now. We're all talking about Cass bottom, whatever if you are. Their fans are not used to that. You look at their last 10 years, apart from 1 or 2, they have been probably 6
they're predicted to be in the top 5 or 6, aren't they?
There you go. This is mad, isn't it?
No. I'm saying
I
think it's the first time they're not favourite to be in the top 6 for quite a while.
Last time I checked, they were. I think when
they were. You showed me. But regardless, what I'm saying to you is, it's not a job where you go in and go, I can afford to keep out at relegation. The fans are going to go. The fans desire. Do you know what I mean? They desire a high level, and do you know what they desire? Sweet Caroline comes on when they throw the ball about, when they play. It's a real. It's a bit weird, isn't it? It is the weird one for you. You go to Wakey this year. Mark Applegarth and Fordy. Anything but bottoms.
Yeah, no pressure.
No
pressure.
And his staff. Top 6, or it's a bad year. Now, why is there that much difference in Wakey and Cass? Why should Radders and his staff be judged by... They will be, I'm telling you now, they will be. Whereas Wakey, hey, they're unbelievable.
Well, that's it. But it comes down to expectations, doesn't it? And I think Wakey, for like I said, they're favourites to come bottom. On the back of who they've lost Jacob Miller's a huge loss. Fafita's a huge loss. So it's understandable. Cass have brought in. They have spent some money. They have brought players in. I'm not just doing this to prove a point, but they're just outside the top 6 at the bookies. And because there's so many...
Where are they?
7th.
Oh.
Question, but it is, that's what I was saying earlier. I don't remember the last time that they weren't in the top 6.
It's tough gigging it in a way.
But if he's...
You think, when Rowley took over, Paul took over Salford.
No, Salford. You got it right.
Yeah. Paul took over Salford. It was very clever when he came in on the back of Richard Marshall getting, sacked through not getting successful results. Perfect timing. After Watto went on, amigo, big, you know what I mean? I'm looking at Radders and I still think if Radders turned round to all Cass fans when Parley went and said, right, I'm coming in, guys, give me 5 years. It's a 5-year plan. We're going to go back to... I think this is what should have happened. We're going to go back to developing our own, back to when we got Daz Clark, Adam Milner, Ollie Holmes, Massey, all these through, right? We're John Davis, we're going to back to that. But it's going to be a journey. Don't expect us to hit this running because we're going to reconstruct the team. Maybe, all the things we're going to do, it's going to be totally different. Gary, whatever you just said, the lads we've got,
Rod Bennett.
I think that buys Radders a bit of time. But with the signings they're making, it's like...
I know, it's funny, isn't it? It is.
You're going for it. Yeah, I think with the signings they've made and the age, you've probably got to say that the fans should suggest... I think the difference is, I'll answer your Wakey one mainly. Like I said, you're judging off last year. Radders had a decent year last year. So you judge on the year before mainly. And then also, Wakey haven't signed many, apart from Proctor, they haven't signed many ones where you're like, they're going for it this year.
That's what I'm saying.
They've signed Morgan Smith. They've signed some young lads who are like, well, if you give them a year or so, they'll be red hot. I think Cass have gone for, apart from the couple of, like you said, reserves / we'll have a punt on them young Hull lads that Danny Wilson knows. They've gone for win now.
Well, I think.
Well, Mellor, we didn't talk about Mellor last time. Mellor's another one. Mellor come from Leeds Rhinos. Should have, my opinion, and Rowan's told me off for this. He said, you come in, ask for him to move, and, you know, but I said, no, we're waiting for you to make us an offer. And it wasn't coming, so we chose to do the right thing for Alex, because we didn't feel they were getting the right vibes to be offered a 2 or 3 year deal.
Yeah.
But again, with Alex, you're competing with Alex. He's a top 4 Huddersfield, then Leeds.
Yeah.
Still at the right age, 6'3". They rave about him. You know, everywhere he goes, the lads go, I didn't think he was that good. You always get that with Alex. I guarantee you, as soon as they play with him, they go, he's better than I thought. And you go, yeah, he's going to get better and better. It is a weird one. What is Cass's DNA, guys?
Well,
Can't work it out.
I'll go through the top 13 here quick, and you'll get the vibe that I think you'll back. Niall Evans, how old's he now? 27, 28?
Yeah, but England, you know, top level.
Greg Eden.
Done it in the top table.
Jordan Turner, He's number 3.
No, I mean, Jordan's done it and consecutively done it.
Jordan Turner number 3, but older, isn't he? Mane Fanua, been at Hull, older signing. You've got Brett Frimo. I think he's older as well.
He's older, 100%.
Yeah. Gareth Widdop, number 6. Older.
Name.
Jacob Niller, big name. 7.
League, yeah.
8, George Lawler.
That's a different one,
George,
like that.
Brought through the
Not saying I like it any bit, but yeah, that's different.
Number 9, Paul McShane.
The king.
England.
Still the king.
10, George Griffin. He's older as well.
He's older.
11, the second rower, Kenny Edwards.
31 plus and a big, massive signing. Are you right? They're quick for it, aren't they?
12, Alex Meller. Again, like you've just covered that. And then 13 to finish off, Joe Westerman. So it's...
And then you've got...
So what did Milner get?
Milner, let me find. He's got number 16, Adam Milner.
Yeah, but then you've got Massey, Milner,
you've got Nathan Massey, 14, Alex Sutcliffe, 15, 16, Adam Milner, 17, Jack Broadbent, 18, Cal McClelland, 19, Albert Vete, 20, Moise Mustafa, 21, Jake Mamo, 22,
Flipping heck.
Daniel Smith, 23, Suaim Targi, 24.
There's no one Dan hasn't said much, 22, Dan.
24, Kane Robb, 25, Brad Martin, 26, Elliot Wallace.
Class, I love that.
27, Bailey Dawson, 28, Sam Hall, 29, Kieran Hudson, 30, Hookham, Jacob Upham, 31, Jason and Gary, 32, Liam Watts, 33, Aaron Willis.
Liam Watts?
Yeah. 34, George Chill, the lad we've just recently took on.
Where's you go?
35, Ilaka Maffey, 36, Hugo Nikata, 37, Danny Richardson.
Yeah, listen, it's all, Cassie will have some fun with this. Get your comments in.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of, you've got Broadbent, you've got improvers, Mussey, Moise, you've got this and that, and then you look like you've gone, no, our starting side is going to be average age 32, they've all been there, they've all seen it, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get all these misters. And do you know what? Cass's culture's a bit too strong for that, historically, in my opinion, about not opening that door and not saying, look, we need to get he's not good enough, Gaffer. He's not ready, Gaffer. Yeah. They've got to change that.
Yeah.
He's not ready, Gaffer. Because they're going to have to get some through. But it's a weird, I've never seen a mix.
The one I'm thinking of is I think it should be a year where Jason Gary now pushes through. He's had 2 or 3 years just on that skirting board anyway. He's been in a couple of times out.
What's that got to do with a skirting board?
I don't know. It sounded good, didn't it? When I said it, I guess if you think about it, it don't work.
He just said it's that skirting board.
What was I thinking?
Flirting on me.
No, wasn't that skirting. Skirting boards.
On the edge.
Yeah, skirting boards are on the edge of on the edge.
Pulled you out.
They are. No, exactly. I got it right. Yeah, you doubted me there. I got it. Skirting boards are on the edge. Yeah, so he's on the skirting board, and I think they have to find a way to get Jason Garrigott, especially with some of the stuff that come out last year. We don't have to go into it, but some of the stuff that come out last year with him maybe moving, maybe not. I think they have to find a place for him because I think from what we've seen he's good enough. But I'll have a comment here. I think the one downside is I think they're putting him at winger, but he's quite small. I think his long term could be at fullback or maybe centre, but I think he's 5'10". From what I remember, so it'd be tough for him to.
Listen. The DNA is very
but
difficult
he's awesome.
to get.
He's
it's
awesome.
very DNA is very difficult to get on that. I think if they play their first team, the first game of the season, they'd probably be one of the oldest average ages going into the league. will some say.
Yeah.
Whereas Mike Shockers and saying, oh no, I'm going
Yeah.
to play all these units. I would say Cass could be on the crust of playing the oldest, if not the oldest, Catalans. Would it be Catalans and Cass?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Catalans and Cass. I mean, when you're going through that there, it's, like you say, it could be the oldest average age we've ever seen.
Yeah, and if they do that again, that means if you can get them players, and people sometimes on the show think, oh, you don't promote older players enough. I absolutely, of course we do. We love older players, but historically, the game's that fast that they do.
George Lawler's the youngest, and I think he's 27.
In the starting shirt.
13, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be one of them. If they get a run going and don't get injuries, they could go bang, 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 and everyone's going, wow. Radis, they've got him jumping again. Lasty got him jumping. Danny, if it goes the other way, and one of them big pivots, I've always thought you should never have a team where one or two go out and it's game over. You know what I mean? And I think Cass would be struggling if one of them halves went. Mac is such an important part, even though Ads can go in there. Young George can definitely play. Ken
Rob's
play.
coming
So
through.
Cover, for Mac now, but I think if that's 6 or 7 until Callum McClellan says I'm ready to go, I think you're jingling, and I think.
Well, put it. This is how I'm viewing it. Like met Macca the other day. I think he's 5-6 kg lighter.
Looks amazing, doesn't it? Well, it's
he must be so determined after not getting that England shirt. I said, "What you thinking? Good year." He's just like, "Yeah," and you've summed it up perfectly. If they have an injury issue, which is more likely carrying that older age, they could be in trouble, and that's why I'm having to put them lower down. But
I want more off the outside backs and all. I'm looking at centres you've said there, and I'm looking at them outside back 5. Where am I getting me 150 meterage off each of them, and when am I getting me 25?
I think they could massively.
Ferramo.
Greg can score. I mean, Greg on his day
can finish. Yeah.
I think they'll miss. I think they'll really, really miss Darryl Alfords. Like you said, yardage wise,
Ferramo's,
Ferramo's not Alfords though, is he? He's good, but he's not Alfords in terms of yardage. Alfords did amazing last year. I think he was number 1. So you've got
like they went through middle, doesn't it?
You've got Greg, you've got Jordan Turner, you've got Mane Fanua, you've got Beretta Ferramo, and then on the
Mamo.
And then you've got Mamo coming off the bench or fitting in.
I mean, Mamo, how good's Mamo in that team of
Jack
reliable older players? You've got Mamo who will undoubtedly do 3 amazing things a game and then make 2 or 3 terrible errors. He's just that sort of player. But
they've definitely got enough with Milner. I'm looking at Milner, and I think what first time ever we've just said it. Macca has got a bit of cover, and he's got a 4 there who could. I would say Paul were out, I don't think that's the case now.
Kane Rob's getting better and better.
Kane Rob looked awesome in a couple of games last year, didn't he?
The way I'm viewing Castleford out of all the teams, and it's hard to predict with injuries, as always, I am struggling to decide whether if Cass are in the bottom 4, I'm not surprised. But if Cass get in that top 6, I'm not surprised. They're so dependent on keeping them boys fit.
And I think that a lot of the best players, I said it on the bit show, I think a lot of them are very inconsistent players. I think we mentioned Niall Evans on his day can be awesome, but inconsistent. Greg Eden on his day could be the best winger in the league or the worst. You've got Widdop, exactly the same. And Widdop's, you know what you're getting, but he's not quite.
But I don't think he's a rocks and diamonds player, Gaz. I think he's.
And then you've got Mamo, absolute rocks and diamonds. I'll just chuck him there to make my point better again. Kenny Edwards, rocks and diamonds.
Well, I like it.
I think
brilliant. Then get sin binned.
I think they've got. It's a very on paper inconsistent
team. That, Joe. Well done.
Thank you.
I challenge Cass and all to get them. You just said it both. You get them young lads some games, and you go, George. We're pushing, but even Kane. You look at Gary. You look at Moise.
Obviously, I would have wished Kieran, but
because for the
Kieran's
next
out.
2 years they're going to need them to step up, because based on the owner likes, they won't be there. So within 18 months, that club's going to be stripped within 18 months. Like bang bang. When send the Cliffs there, it's going to be every year 3, 5, 7. Suddenly, if you haven't got these lads in who can play 10 or 15 games this year, or maybe 5 to 6 games, that's going to start now. What's you're going to have to go full recon.
Yeah, most years, yeah.
Yeah.
All good. Come on, Cass.
Both Warrington and Cass, both coaches, they've had a year, haven't they? And now it's time. It's time to do it. You know, can Cass get in the top 6? I think that's their challenge.
I think we're being harsh on Cass in a sense because they had an alright year last year. It's not like they had a bad year. They got in the playoffs.
No, they missed out on the playoffs, which
was the final
game? That's the point.
The final games was Leeds, yeah.
And they got that many injuries. I mean, when we started to play, we're like, no, the one player at that time I thought could have took the club. He scored on Sky with 50 yards, step. Danny Rich come to form suddenly. They were like, Danny's finally here. It would be coming a bit of a, and then bang, it fell off the cliff, didn't it? So
I bet they're looking. Try getting back top 6 and a good cup run.
I tell you what, it'd be a great question.
That sort of age.
A great question for Lee, wouldn't it? Lee, what are you looking to do this year? Are you looking, and if Lee said, "Oh, we're looking to bump," that'd be interesting because I don't know. We've finished them all apart from Catalans, the inside the deals. I think if we've got every chairman and every coach and you'd say, what's your expectancy this year? There's only 3 or 4 going to say we can win it, if they be honest. Maybe even, I don't even, like go for 3 or 4. I think there'll be 2 or 1 or 2 would say as long as we don't get relegated, but they won't say that public because it's a very negative thing to say. But yeah. I think inside their hearts they've already gone, missed that. So you're looking at 6 or 7 saying, well, if we do our aim, keep injuries free, we might get in that top 6.
A lot of top 6 teams, isn't there?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
you could split it into 3, couldn't you?
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah. I think there's 5. 5 at top.
I just don't know. I think they're all competing. I don't know if Saints have got stronger. Their legs are getting older, so they've either got
getting Doddsy back makes them stronger.
Yeah. What's good year for Hull and Hull FC?
FC playoffs.
Both.
I think Hull. I think FC are just looking for their spine of them 3 players they brought in to do good.
Well, there's still going to be top 6, so they get
got to be.
They get annihilated.
Got to challenge for top 6.
I don't think that's the be all and end all for Hull. I don't think it can. I think they've got 3 24-year-olds, I believe, all around 24. That have. I think
they're not 18, John. They're 24.
Yeah, but if you look at the rest, I think the league's that strong because Salford on the day can beat any team.
I think Hull will have to get top 6. I think Salford think they can get in that top 6.
Huddersfield, you've got KR, Hull FC, Huddersfield, Wigan, Saints, Leeds.
Lee are aiming for top 6.
No, Lee.
Well, I saw they've got a half a chance for defence and physicality.
You've got loads of teams. Cass, the one you've got, and then
the pressure's on the old clubs, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're all not saying it.
Yeah,
but you're looking at that. Cass are in there as well. Let's be honest and men about this.
Yeah.
You're looking and you're going. The old clubs and Cass could get dragged in here by what we've saw so far. You're open. I can't say my favourites because some of them are my favourite. I love them to bits.
I think I missed out Wigan. So you've got 9 that are all.
You've
got 9 or 10.
Going back to
Catalans. You've got 10 competing.
But this is
we've got a picture of Wakey on a boat, yeah. And Wakey is throwing thing out, and they're looking for fish.
Trying to catch
3 or 4 of them, and they're going like that. And you've got them, and we're going like this. So we keep away Wakey, and Wakey suddenly go, "Oh no, we've got you." We've got you. Bang, we've got you. And I think that's going to happen. I said today, I've hung my washing out today. I think Mark Applegarth and Forney are in boat and fishing, and they're going, we've got you. Honestly, we've got you. And these in there, coaches in there are going, chuck it Watcher out and going, you might be right. There's a bit of nervousness now.
There is because this is how I'm viewing it. I think there's 5. I think Saints, Wigan, Warrington, Leeds, and Huddersfield. I think they are the 5.
Yeah.
So we've got, in my head, there's 1 spot, and I've even got Catalans in that. Everyone out of those teams are aiming for the playoffs. If you get in the playoffs, you've got a chance. You have to be in the playoffs. You need the extra fixtures, and you've got a chance, like Leeds proved last year, from bottom spot, getting that grand final. Now, both Hull teams, Lee, Castleford, Catalans, who I'm writing off at my peril, all of them for me are fighting for 1 spot to get in the playoffs.
I've done the math there though, because if you do, I did the 10, then if you chuck Lee in there like you said, you've literally only got Wakey who probably don't think, you know what I mean, Wakey may be in big hopes of thinking player, but you've got all 11, out of the 12, you've got 11 that all think they can...
No, I think there's a couple of them inside are scared, and that's where
Oh, I don't.
That's where the
Well,
weakness
apart from the 2 Hull teams and Cass, who else would you? Lee maybe. You've got 4 that.
I'm not going to say that, maybe. But
You've got 4 that are maybe.
I think that they inside now. There's a nervousness. I think they're looking and realising how strong.
But all 11,
all
11 think they can make the playoffs. I think that's their goal. I think all of them would be disappointed without making the playoffs.
No chance. I think there'll be 2 or 3 of them inside internally without the fans going.
I disagree with you.
Listen, we're going to get here and get in this position quick, or.
Do you know what makes...
Wakey, if you think about this, right, Wakey have got an absolute.
I don't know which couple are you talking about then. I think you said you don't want to say, but I generally don't have a clue which ones you're talking about.
I'm not prepared. I usually don't sit on the fence, but I'm sitting and I'm that big in that fence. I've got splinters. I'm not getting off the split. I think they're now going. And they're
okay, I'll reword it. Then their fans, I think every single one of their fan base think they're hitting top 6. 11 out of the 12, I think they think they're hitting top 6. Whether their owners think differently secretly, I think all 11 think they can make the playoffs slash should be making the playoffs, and that's an exciting prospect.
It is, and we'll leave it at that. One thing I want to say, we should have sent the full 80, but big thank you from Joe. I don't know if you've got Jimmy lately. Wherever we go, the fans are unbelievable. I was actually saying this is getting like mad, and we come out, I saw Rich Thulis, and I said to Rich, he said, what's all that about? I said, some fans got showing. I don't think he believed me. And as the gap come, somebody went, go on, show me, gives a mention on full 80. And it was brilliant, the timing. Well, Rich just went like that, because we just said, everywhere you go now, when you walk, the show's a massive success, and they love the content, and it. Do you know what? When I get a bit mardy, you say, what makes you do it? Well, that's there's no doubt. When they give you a pat on back and you go into games, and everywhere you go now, it's like, they're here, lads, it's fantastic content, and, we are going to have to do that NRL preview, guys, in the next 2 weeks for our fans in NRL. We're going to have to give it the full Monty. But I think that's one of the most interesting ins and outs we've done. I'm happy we did it again.
It is very interesting,
we got bad from Castleford first.
I think they are the team that are going to be... They could be anywhere.
Like you said, they could compete with if they're top 13, they could compete.
When we did the first preview and we finished it, and when it went in, I just got this feeling of Mark, just as I were writing down a table for me next year, just moving it off, you know what I mean? I just thought, that trick, do you know what I would say about Cass? You don't get it anywhere else. But we're going to lead, we're on into this week, we'll get a bit of a duck, a bit of mash, it's half and half. It's not Leeds, but it's nice.
At Lee, you mean, for Curry's testimonial?
Yeah. Curry's, it'll be... You don't get that treacle pudding and custard, something like that won't make sense. When it come out, your eyes just go like that, you're like, Jamro, are you kidding me? And I've said this, the best restaurants in the world, if I see that strawberry jam and custard, it don't matter what happens, it's absolutely on the... So I hope we don't ever get back.
You pick that over at creme brulee every time, don't you?
That's listening starving, I said it. See you later.